For those that weren't here yesterday, my name is Rick Wolk. I teach marketing and entrepreneurship and strategy, and I'm teaching the capstone class at the University of Alaska Southeast down in Juneau. I'm also an entrepreneur, and we had some fun talking about opportunities and opportunity analysis yesterday. And I'm going to split this with a friend of mine, a former student, and one of the big wigs over at the Small Business Development Center for Alaska, and that's Isaac Vanderburg. Isaac's going to talk about debt funding, and I'm going to talk about equity funding. And we're running a little bit behind, so if I go a little bit fast for you, I'm not going to run out of here afterwards. Just pull me aside. But one of the things that we want to keep in mind is entrepreneurship is often a roller coaster ride. And keep this in mind. So you've got an idea, and it works. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it's not proprietary. I solved that problem. Customers like it. Oh, customers don't like it. The cost is too high, and it fixes. And then finally, you know, the new cost model looks good. Yields aren't so high. I've got a fix. It doesn't work. The new fix works, and on we go, right? So you're going through this, but investors are also, they know that you're going through this because they've, for the most part, the people that are going to be investing in your business have hopefully been there and done that. So they know that this is a very risky investment for them. So what equity investors are looking for, and including the people who are going to be on that panel that Lucinda was just talking about, they're going to be looking for some proof of concept. They're going to be looking at your business model. They're going to be looking at your business plan. And they're going to be looking for, sort of your credibility. That you've done your homework, that you've learned something from your business, that you continue to improve the business model. They're going to look for your persistence. And that's really critical. That's one of the key things. If we go back, if you got to go through this weeds out a lot of people who go, I can't do it, or I'm not going to go there, or I'm not going to stay with this. But if you're persistent and passionate, that's one of the things that they were looking for. Al was talking about his favorite people from Shark Tank the other day. They were persistent. They weren't going to give up, right? And Mark Cuban knew that. And that's why he stuck with the lady. Was it the pretzel lady? The pretzel lady. And Mark Cuban, by the way, is one of the investors. For those that were here yesterday, I told you about Naked Pizza. Cuban's one of the investors to grow Naked Pizza as well. I told you it started from New Orleans. It's expanded, and he's one of the investors as well. And I know from watching the entrepreneur present down in New Orleans, this is one passionate, persistent entrepreneur. They're also going to be looking for you to have some skin in the game. You're not going to go up to an equity investor and say, hey, give me money. And they're going to say, well, what did you put into it? You're going to go, oh, nothing. I don't want to take a risk in this. This is too risky. Well, what does that say to them, right? If it's too risky for you, they're going to say, why should we invest? They want to see that you're committed to this as well. So again, when we're talking about equity investment, we're talking about, and it's not a grant, we're talking about people who are buying pieces of your business. You're selling them a piece of your business. And you can bring in money at different stages. You're going to do the opportunity analysis. You're going to work on the business idea. You're going to work on the business plan. And there may be some opportunity at this point as you're opening the business, or right before opening, to bring in some equity investment. But there's also an opportunity for expansion and growth. And my hunch is that the businesses that Lucinda was just talking about, they're looking for some evidence that you can grow, right? And they're not necessarily looking at lifestyle entrepreneurs. We'll talk a little bit about that, and we've talked a bit about that earlier. But they're looking for maybe making investments after there's already been some proof of concept. Proof of concept meaning people have pulled some money out of their pocket and started to do business with you. And you're going to them and saying, hey, I need some money to grow this business, and grow it in a significant way. And I think I have a hunch that that's what these folks are going to be looking for. And as the Lieutenant Governor was talking about, you can use Anchorage and you can use the state of Alaska as a springboard to the rest of, not only the rest of the state, but the lower 48 and international as well. And when I challenge my students that I work with, and I did it here when I was at APU, and I also do it at UAS, I force them to come up with a business plan that shows, I think when Alan and I first started collaborating, it was $5 million in 10 million in 5 years. And with inflation, I've now taken that to 15 million in revenue per year by year 5. And students scratch their head. They go, how am I going to do that? But it's not that difficult, right? And what was Mead's comment? Rich is better than, don't go broke, and rich is better, right? So in other words, he's saying focus on some of those ways that you can grow the business. You're going to spend so much time on it, you might as well grow it big. So we talked a little bit about this: mice, elephants, and gazelles, different types of businesses. the mice are the small ones, right? The vast majority of firms, they start out small, they grow very little, and they only contribute marginally to employment growth. These aren't the businesses that Lucinda and the fund are looking for, and they're not really the businesses that are going to win the business plan competition. The large companies, these are the elephants, the net new share of jobs. We talked about that yesterday. Ford fires 8,000 people. At this point, Google hires 8,000, no net change. But it's these fast growth firms, these gazelles, that I think that the fund that Lucinda was talking about and the business plan competition are really looking for. And the bar has been raised. When I first started working with Alan 10 years ago, and it was at UAA, and one of the plans was for some guy who had a lawnmower business, and he was going to add another lawnmower, and that was it, right? But we're looking for, you might have won the business plan competition 5 years ago, or so 7 years ago with that, but we're looking for more now. So, but we do need both, and we need a policy that encourages both, and that's why I think this fund is really cool. So when we're talking about the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and Alan describes this as the nest, and this fund is really a piece of the nest. It was really a missing piece of the nest. And one of the big pieces of the nest is this availability of venture capital. It's available now. She was just here telling you that they've got money to invest. I can't think of a better seat to be in than all you right here who are thinking about putting a business plan together. And now there's actually people out there with money that are saying, come, right? And as Lucinda said, there has been angel investment here in Anchorage before and in the state of Alaska. In Kodiak, I was down in Kodiak earlier this year, but it's all sort of quiet and I don't want to say backdoor deals. There's nothing secret, but it's small groups of people. Remember we talked about who knows, who you know, who you are, who you know, and what you know. It's small groups of people who know each other, and it's sort of closed for the most part. But this opens it up and makes it a lot more transparent. Not that the previous deals were surreptitious or anything like that, but now, if you want to go to a dry cleaner, you know where the dry cleaner is. If you want to go to the grocery store, you know where Freddy's is. Now, if you want to go reach some people to pitch an idea to get some investment for your business, you know where that is too, and that's really huge. The other piece of the entrepreneurial ecosystem is experienced entrepreneurs. You heard the Lieutenant Governor. There's a lot of experienced entrepreneurs here. I encourage you to get them on your advisory boards and to work with you as you're looking to talk to angel investors, to sell equity in your company. And obviously a receptive population where people think, hey, entrepreneurship is good, right? That's better than trying to be an entrepreneur where people think entrepreneurship is bad. So the problem here has not been a lack of capital, a lack of ideas, or a lack of management. Access to equity capital, catch myself here. It's been a lack of ideas or a lack of management team has been troubling people sometimes. The money's been there, right? And I remember working with my students, and they see these examples from Silicon Valley, and they see these examples from New York or MIT, and they're like, we can't do that, we're just in Alaska. Crap, that's crap. You guys, and you heard it, the Lieutenant Governor, he said, I was doing this from my garage, right? And there's a lot of stuff that's going on now, so I encourage you to think big, and you've learned a lot over these last couple of days, and I encourage you to include that in as you're tweaking your business plans and your business models and your business ideas. So Isaac's going to talk about debt. Debt is obviously people are going to loan you money to do something with your business, but it's very risky right now, right? Your business is just an idea, and I'm not going to go back to the first slide, but it's up and down, and you think it's going to be a $100,000 business, it could go completely bust, right? So if I'm going to invest money as an equity investor, I've got to get a significant return on that investment, because otherwise I could put it in the bank, I could put it in the stock market, it's less risky than investing in startups, put it that way. And the reason the banks are reluctant sometimes to invest in startups is because they don't want to lose all their money. They want you to pay back the loan, but this is a very risky investment at the startup stage, and that's why the equity investment is a big important piece to help this get started. So we'll talk about sort of what sort of return people are looking for, and Mead talked about family, friends, and fools as sort of where you're likely to come to get your funding from. The first place is your own pocket, right? I said you've got to have some skin in the game, and it's important symbolically to show, first of all, you're going to use your credit cards, you're going to use a little bit of the money you've set aside yourself, and that's because you got an idea and you're running with it, and that's going to prove proof of concept for future people who are going to come in and invest in your business. But at that point, you're going to go to family members, friends who know you, because again, they know you and they trust you, and you've sort of proven the concept a little bit. fools is a bit of a, we're stretching that a little bit, but it's so risky to be putting money into your business at this point. It gets a little bit, they really are taking a flyer on you at this point because they could lose it all. Before I talk about, well, I'll talk about angels in a second. There's a new thing that's coming on the horizon, and that's called crowdfunding. And there's bills in Congress, the House and the Senate, that I read are 80% likely to be approved. And that's going to make it even easier for folks to raise money. Right now, and it's using social media to a certain extent to raise equity. Right now, it's illegal to use it to raise equity, but it's not illegal to use it to sort of give out, again, creative marketing, to give out rewards to people who want to invest in your business. So an example might be if you're selling widgets, or you've got a business idea to produce widgets, you say, I'll give you a widget, let's say the price for the widget is $50. I'll give you this really cool widget for $35. But you're going to have to wait a little bit until I kind of ramp this business up. So you can pre-sell all these widgets. People are investing in your business. Not investing, but they're giving you the money up front, not even for equity at this point. And I encourage you to look at a business called Kickstarter.com is a good example of that. But that business model is going to change because I think that people are going to actually be able to make equity investments in your business using crowdfunding, which is, again, using some of the social media that Ross was talking about and that Aliza was talking about last month. So angel investors are people who are taking their own money and they're investing it in your business. The difference between that and venture capital is organizations, financial wizards, if you will, gurus, whose expertise is picking other businesses to invest in. And so people give them money, they then look out over the field and they go, yes, this is a good one. Richard's got a good idea. And I build a track record as a venture capitalist in picking these businesses, picking the winners. Angel investing are usually at a lower level, and let's say $50,000 to $500,000, and it's not cut and dry. And Al says, if you only need 50, go to your grandma Moses or whatever it is. So let's say, but we'll use 50 for an example. Fair enough? And whatever. But there's something else that Al was talking to me about beforehand, and that's the difference between, it's referred to as smart money. So you don't want to just bring somebody into your business who's got the money. You want to bring somebody in the business who also has expertise that can help you, that has contacts that can help you, that has experience, been there, done that. This is why that advisory board at some point may morph into someone who may be interested in investing. Ask for advice, you may end up getting money, is one of the things that Alan just told us. Venture capital, again, this is at a higher level, maybe $1 million plus or more. But angels can pool their money. So here's a profile. This is from the Kaplan and Warren material that I shared with you yesterday, but different piece of it. So let's say, and what Lucinda was talking about is a little different than what other states have, but it's the same kind of principle. It may end up feeding, as she said, an angel group here in town, which we haven't set up yet, but Alan's been working on that, and Al's been working on that, and we'll continue to work on that. But around the country, average number of angels in a group, 10 to 25. They make, as a group, $2 to $5 million in investment. The average investment about $350,000, and about a third of the plans that get presented get funded. But they get screened beforehand also, so it's not just everybody coming in. There's some pre-screening that goes on, but it's the same model that Lucinda was talking to you about. People are invited into. When I was living in Vancouver, British Columbia, people would come in once a month, make pitches to the angel group down there, and some of them would get funded. And this is a really critical way of growing these businesses because it's not a time when banks are going to be making the investment, generally, unless you put up collateral, and Isaac will talk about that. So just as an example, and one of the things I've found is a distrust and a misunderstanding of equity investment here with some of the people that I've worked with over the years. And they think, well, it's too expensive. And so here's an example. Let's say you've got a business idea, and maybe you've started to show some proof of concept, and just for hypothetical purposes, we say the business is valued at $100,000 before anybody puts any money in. 5 angel investors, they say, oh, you know what? This is a good idea. We'll each put $10,000 in, so we've got $50,000. Post money, the business is worth $150,000. You following me, right? 100 plus 50, 150,000. So what percentage do the angels own? A third, right? So the business valued at $150 post money, let's say it grows